everyone, my name is Kimberly Ann Priest and I'm at Range State Park in Maine. I've just hiked out on a sliver of land that juts out to the pond, a peninsula. I like to come here nearly every day to run and hike the trails. It's a beautiful place. The first time I joined Wednesday Night Poetry, I was in Wisconsin and I read a poem titled Divorce. And I spoke to my audience about how my ex-husband, a gay man, finally apologized to me for 18 years of intense, violent abuse. Honestly, it wasn't difficult to forgive him. I am actually acutely aware of my own human capacity to behave badly and do harm to others. However, it has been difficult to live with the consequences of what he did to me. As the poem I will read shortly illuminates. Today is election day in this country, and by the time you hear this poem, the results of that election will likely be calculated. It's cold out here. Today, the man who once harmed me will vote differently than I have. And by the time you hear this poem, I will once again know if I have to deal with yet another set of troubling consequences due to his choices. Those consequences may not be, for all of us, easy to live with. 4 more years of political confusion, dishonesty, divisiveness, and fear-mongering won't be easy to live with. In light of this, I can only pass along what I learned while living in a long-term domestic violence situation. Hold your ground, tend your roots, turn towards your communities, fortify them by adopting healthy, sustainable habits, foster hope, create. Invest in the future that we, as Americans, will certainly have again someday. I got out of my violent situation and was stronger for doing these things and teaching my children to be wiser than and different from the hatred they observed. But here's to hoping that as you hear this poem, you and I are living in an America partly affected by my choice this election season, that the consequences are favorable, and that this time I got my way. And now I'm going to contend with the wind and read to you a poem that I wrote during the Michigan primaries, A Patch of Blue. Strapped to a gurney, I watched the sky frown and close behind me as the ambulance pulled away from the civilized world just hours after our new president was named. Homeless, broke, I would never see a bill from this visit, and I would also never have my democratic say. Now, nearly a term later, my daughter and I sit at Denny's diner, considering candidates, as she stares into her phone reading their values and plans. I tell her stories about how Medicare saved me, the importance of listening, and all the reasons not to follow the voting advice of her dad. There are many women like me, I say, remembering the moment the psychiatrist wrote PTSD and handed me a script for medication to level serotonin. Mere hours earlier, her father had stated emphatically that this was not his fault, not his responsibility, that the years of pounding and thrashing, screaming and threatening were all in my head. He was right. A few scribbles on paper to confirm this, and the gaping silence of family and friends. My packed bag plunked down on a floor next to a hospital bed as the skin on my legs began itching from not shaving. This morning, I poke at the stack of pancakes swimming in syrup as my daughter lifts her eyes in revelation. Mom, I know who I'm voting for. I smile. Yeah? Yeah, she says. At 18, she leans into me, telling me often I am the only parent she can trust. We finish our coffee and stare out the window. I still don't know who to vote for this primary. I only know who not. She breaks my contemplation with the inevitable question after a long explanation of Medicare for all, during which the clouds shallow and part losing their possession of this unusually warm Michigan day. Who will you vote for, Mom? The servers and cooks clink and shuffle behind us, their jocular demeanor exposing our northern vulnerability to a little bit of post-winter sun. I didn't see the sky outside that hospital room for almost 3 days, or even realize it's happening.